Well, this is quite a day. We've been recording a lot of extra stuff.
We really have.
We've been doing our bonuses.
There's been a lot of stuff happening.
We've been remembering Pearl Harbor. And now we have an emergency. Wait a second. Now we have an emergency.
Oh, no.
Now we have...
What's that I hear?
Now I'm hearing something in the distance.
You ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Is this the face that launched the thousand ships from burnt toppless towers of Italy?
Was this the face that launched the thousand? Was this the face that toppless towers? Was this the face that launched the thousand ships? You're actors. We're the opposite of people.
Yes, that's right, folks. Tom Stoppard, famed playwright and also script doctor on Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
Has passed away.
Wait, are you pulling my leg?
No, that's a real thing. We don't know what lines he contributed to Revenge of the Sith, but he said he interfered with it. Yes.
Well, script conversion therapist.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So I included, in addition to all the things I've...
butcher.
Damn, you're not waiting to dance on his grave, huh? This is crazy.
No, I will say that, Star Wars is a fantastic franchise, and I also like the Disney Star Wars. I will say, I think the Disney Corporation makes fantastic Star Wars programs, particularly the
one
Acolyte.
show in particular.
Yeah, right.
But I threw in addition to all the things that I've already added to that siren over the years, I added the Marlowe montage from Shakespeare in Love, which is probably my favorite bit from that movie, where everyone's just doing the same monologue from Faustus. It's a good monologue. I threw in a little bit of Plastic People of the Universe, who are, of course, featured heavily in Stoppard's play Rock and Roll. Then, of course, I ended with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
What a king.
This is a more obscure topic for our emergency episodes than what we usually do, which is two things, Stephen Sondheim and James Dobson.
Now that's why we brought in an expert. Please welcome Abby Thorn. Hi, Abby.
Hi there. It's so lovely to be back on the pod talking about something that's like not the movie Persecuted, John Persecuted. In the movie.
You get the way it works is you get to do one where we torture you, and then after that, you
get to torture us.
That's right.
We're switches.
Or we just get to relax. And I think that's kind of what today's going to be, right? We are, I think, all here to honor the legacy of, I would say, one of the 20th century's greatest playwrights and early 21st century.
Certainly its greatest conservative playwright.
Yeah.
I would say.
Oh, I would say David Mamet.
Maybe British conservative playwright, maybe? I don't know. It's so interesting how his plays never devolve into screed in quite the same way that Mamet's did, or are currently doing. Mamet is not dead, to my knowledge.
Stoppard was Stoppard was a true artist. He wasn't really interested in. I mean, he's definitely interested in politics, but you can even see he'll treat even communist subjects fairly as an artist, right? He's wanting to explore these ideas in a larger sense, and he is an artist of incredible intellect and incredible talent, which is why we are gathered here today to remember him.
Yeah. Well, Abby, you actually texted me pretty much first thing after he died to be like, oh, wow.
Where do you want me to put the body? Yeah.
Yeah. But it seemed like you wanted to talk a bit about sort of him and his whole deal. So I was curious to hear sort of, first off, your thoughts.
Well, I was I'm not shocked because he was an old man, but I was so surprised by this. And Josh, you're one of my only friends who would kind of know who Tom Stoppard is and what a kind of big deal that is. So I've been in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern twice.
Wow.
And it was one of my favorite films, the Gary Oldman one, when I was a teenager. And it's Tim Roth, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Gary Oldman, Tim Roth.
And funnily enough, I saw Tim Roth as Go-Go in Waiting for Godot.
Oh, wow.
With Hugo Weaving as Vladimir in London.
Oh, cool.
Incredible.
So you guys were
where
talking.
Was that? Was that on the West End?
I was in London. I was at the Barbican in London. Incredible.
Oh,
It was years
Barbican.
and years ago. Yeah, God, Hugo Weaving was fucking amazing in that. But so yeah, I've been in it twice, and it was actually the first time I was in Rosengill. I was a teenager. I think I was like 13 or 14, and it was one of the first real plays I'd done.
This is like a high school production?
Yeah.
Or middle school or something?
And I was the player, where actors were the opposite of people. And I got to wear this incredible costume that I got to choose myself.
Nice.
So it was the first time I'd sort of taken on like a serious dramatic role that wasn't just like a school play type deal,
Yeah.
It was my first intro to Shakespeare, and I ended up doing my first Shakespeare, I think, the year after I did The Tempest. So and then I did Rosengill again at university as Hamlet, and got to do the whole to be or not to be in that scene where they're like, he's doing the to be or not to be, and then they're just like, what the fuck's he doing? What's he about?
What's all this then?
Yeah. So I got to do that. And then when I wrote my first play, The Prince, is very much inspired by Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, to the point where I think in the program of the first production of The Prince, I referred to it as Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead Named. Listeners, I don't expect you to be familiar with my play. It's about two trans women who find themselves trapped in the Shakespeare multiverse, being like hunted by an evil closeted. You can being hunted by an evil closeted Hotspur from Henry IV Part 1.
And should also say as well, if you're not familiar with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, it is a play that is basically what Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, Hamlet's two best friends, have been getting up to outside of and parallel to the events of the play Hamlet.
Yeah. It's sort of Waiting for Godot crossed over with Hamlet. And it's such an impactful play that it changed, I think, the way that people do Hamlet from that point onward. There's a line in Shakespeare's play where like the king says, thanks Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and then the queen says, thanks Guildenstern and Rosencrantz. And because of Stoppard's play, everyone turns the queen's line into a correction of the first one, where they're getting the two characters mixed up. It's just sort of become part of the blood of that play.
Yeah.
There's also, in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, they're constantly flipping coins. And I've seen productions of Hamlet where they come on flipping coins. Just as a cute little thing. So yeah, it's been like a hugely impactful play for me. It's the only one of his plays that I've read. So I also wanted to come on and like learn about the rest of him, because I was like, fuck, this guy's had a big impact on my life. I know three theater nerds who can tell me more.
I mean,
a little bit. I feel like it's certainly not Sondheim with us, where like at the very least AJ and I can kind of spout off every single thing that he did. Stoppard's work is so wide ranging, and I think all of us have a somewhat more limited picture on his oeuvre.
I have read a lot of Stoppard's plays, but a lot of them were not readily available in the States in quite the same way. Like the one edition I have, it's the big yellow one with the big orange one, with the giant like egg rock on the front. That it's the copy that has Arcadia, it has the real thing, it has Indian ink and Hapgood, and I think there's one more in it. But then I went and I was like, well, this is number 5 in the series. There must be 4 others, and they're all only available in Britain now. So I have not read a lot more of his obscure stuff, but the man wrote so much. He was one of the most prolific writers, certainly of the 20th century in terms of entertainment. And he was actually incredibly successful at it in a way that I feel like a lot of his contemporaries weren't. Like Stoppard won like 4 Tony Awards over the course of his life, which is pretty unheard of. He won one for Travesties, I know, and he won one for Arcadia, and certainly for Leopoldstadt, which ended up being his final play. Yeah. But what I really love about his work is that he starts with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in this very sort of kind of the cheeky boy in the back of the room, kind of like, I'm going to like throw stones at this classic and see what, falls out of it. And then by the end, his final play is finally actually exploring the one part of himself that he's never talked about on stage, which is his Jewish heritage, right?
Yeah.
This Jewish community in Vienna, right? Which gives the play its title. But like Abby, like you, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, I read it in high school and it broke my brain. I was not on AO3. I was not on any of these fan fiction sort of websites. And
he just wrote it down for himself.
Yeah, I just wrote it down for myself and I giggled. But like they can kiss. But like there's something about going through those websites. You have to like kind of panhandle for gold a little bit. Like a lot of it is just absolute garbage. And so I would go on, I would like read a story halfway through and be like, oh, this is bad, and go. And the thing about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead was it proved to me that like fan fiction can be art, and it can be some of the greatest art that you've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of his whole thing in a lot of ways. And in some cases, it wasn't just with reinterpreting fictitious characters. It was also talking about real people.
In history,
both of the shows that I saw that have like the actual plays that I have seen on stage were more to do with, well, I saw, I'll just say, Rock and Roll. There was a production at the Goodman in Chicago in 2009 that I saw. That one, I can't remember if any of the characters are real people, but they're definitely inspired by real people. And then Travesties I saw that on the West End in 2017. Oh, wow. That was a Tom Hollander, and like James Joyce shows up. For a little bit in that one, for instance, and a number of other real historical figures.
Arcadia as well is like a mix of fictional characters and real people. They're always talking about Lord Byron is just over in the other room in the past sections of Arcadia. I'm surprised, Abby, that you haven't read Arcadia. That seems like it's so... I feel like it's actually, I was going to say it's up your alley. It's up everyone's alley. It's just like basically a perfect play.
It's also just such a like drama school type text too.
Absolutely.
It's so frequently assigned.
I find when I get to the end of Arcadia, I have a little bit of a difficult time picturing what's happening, because basically in Arcadia,
it's all happening at once.
So there's two different timelines happening in Arcadia. There's one that's happening in the 19th century, right?
I think very, very early 19th century.
Very early 19th century. In this English country house.
And they're talking about architecture. There's this little girl who like comes up with chaos theory and mathematics. And there's all this talk about like specific movements of how people did landscaping. You know, how aristocrats were doing their landscaping, and how they would like build a little hut and have a hermit live in it for a while. And then we find out one of the characters in the story becomes the hermit. And then, it's intercut with the modern day. And so all this talk about mathematics and science all kind of factors back. And usually like you hear, there's a modern day section. You're like, well, I get to check out for that part because it's not going to be as interesting. But Stoppard layers the two moments in time until at the very end, it's just like this giant moving tableau, moving in both senses. Of the past and the present.
It genuinely feels like, what if Acts 1 and Act 2 of Sunday in the Park with George were happening simultaneously?
Like every other scene, just tearing that beard off and gluing it back on.
Piece of skin coming off.
Finishing the hat, going back to the hat. More
taking the hat off, taking the hat off again, and then putting it on one more time. So, the dog is over there.
I'm so sorry. It does say here that Mandy Patinkin is dead at the age of 35, having to perform that play. But he's
also playing the dogs. You know,
oh God, that's right. But it's also, I think, one of the most clever things about Arcadia, and we'll talk a little bit more about it as we go. But this idea that props will be put down in one timeline and then are picked up in the other timeline as if they just like exist. So it creates, over time, he's very meticulous in the stage directions about just accumulating shit on the table, so that you see sort of the detritus of time physically manifested on the stage.
He's basically adapting the old genre of symbolism, right? Like Maurice Maeterlinck and all these guys that I care about and literally no one else on earth does. But he adapts the symbolism from being about like spiritualism and angels and foreign non-corporeal things in the real world, but adapts it with modern day understandings of science and mathematics, which is something that like I feel Nick Payne built his entire career off of, like taking that idea and running with it with like constellations and things.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. There's Rock and Roll.
I knew I had a copy of Rock and Roll somewhere. I'm just going to be paging through this a little bit because there's a few things about this play that I really remember.
Yeah. Did you see it with Brian Cox? Josh?
No, this was at the Goodman Theater. This was with let me I can see who the cast was, but
because Brian Cox originated that role. I know in England.
And
there was a guy. There was a guy named Thomas Cox, no relation, but you know.
And Rock and Roll is a play about the sort of history of rock and roll in Czechoslovakia.
Right. Was Cox the like Marxist academic guy?
I believe he was Jan, who is Stoppard's like self-insert character that isn't his self-insert character.
Because he didn't live there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he spends a lot of pages in the beginning of that rock and roll book just being like, listen, it's not me. I know you all think it's me. It's not me. But I mean, I feel like, again, if we're tracing sort of an arc of his career, I think it was, we see the journey of a fiercely intellectual playwright who puts up every barrier and wall between him and the audience of like, look at this shtick, look at this shtick, look at this shtick. And then over time, those walls start to wear away and he starts sort of putting more value in his autobiographical stuff and it starts coming out more and more in his work. And when people remember Stoppard, they say a lot of stuff about like how there was such a beating heart like at the center of all of his plays that his characters were all very smart, but they were all also very dumb because they acted like on impulse and on like their base impulses would take them over.
Very poor emotional intelligence.
Yeah. But and that really comes through, I think, in Arcadia, which I think is his masterpiece. But that being said,
I would agree.
Good God, there are some of his plays that I find impenetrable and quite bad, actually.
Yeah, you and I were both talking before the call about The Coast of Utopia.
Yeah,
and how we both read it when we were like 18 or 19, and we're like, there's a lot of great scenes.
Yeah.
But also, what is the whole thing? Why is it this gigantic trilogy? What's the whole business with that cat?
There's a scene that I really love at the end where it's like, because it's a lot of like big historical sweeping things, like it's characters being sort of whipped around by like the tides of history, and then I think at the end of the second part, two of the main characters are standing on a boat and they just have a conversation, and it's the most thrilling scene in the whole play, and then it just kind of fades off from there.
In fairness, are there any playwrights who you would say like everything that they've done is a banger? Like even Shakespeare, I'm like, okay, well, a couple of
Sarah Kane, I think, but she kind of
she didn't write very many, exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's also very important. I think there are like rock and roll didn't really hit me. It kind of felt to me like a midlife crisis play.
Oh, see, this is the thing and this probably comes as no surprise knowing everything about me and who I am. Rock and roll knocked my socks off when I saw it. I
think there's a difference between seeing it and reading it too.
Yeah, that may be.
A lot of the time.
I mean, I really disagree, obviously, with the perspective of the play and a lot of the conclusions that it draws, because it ultimately is a very strongly didactic anti-communist play. But the way that it gets there is so rich in the very like academic kind of debates and all that kind of stuff just really gets my brain going. And it's him. He is able to successfully write a lot of the stuff that other people try to write. People like David Mamet, for instance, who don't know how to write it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose something I'm considering is like if some of the mid-career plays were swings and misses, something I'm wondering is like, could you have, not this is a bit cliche, but like, could you have a Stoppard today? Because like something that some people have pointed out, I think in the UK is that he was a refugee to the UK, wasn't he?
Right. Yeah, he was from Czechoslovakia, and I think the Nazis invaded and his family fled. Okay. Yeah.
I've seen some people point out that like, if Tom Stoppard came to the UK today under like existing refugee laws, he would not be allowed to work like at all. We would not get the benefit of his artistic genius.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's
because
right.
Because like he'd be like stuck in a hotel or in a camp or something, and then they'd kick him out, right? So yeah, so I wonder like, and also I think about the playwrights I know around London now who are like really struggling and all have like 5 other jobs, and I'm like,
right.
Is society preparing for the next Tom Stoppard, or are we just like consigning ourselves to a world in which that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I mean, being prolific means that you have to be in an environment that can stoke that ability to write a lot, right? Shakespeare wrote a lot because he was the resident playwright of a theater that had to continually create new work.
He had patronage,
and so he was able to write 40 plays in
a Willie Shakes.
Willie Shakes.
Stanislavski was able to do what he was able to do early on because he was independently wealthy. He was connected with people who were also wealthy, who were able to fund him. And then he was able to find a very dedicated audience that was willing to keep going and seeing his shit.
And even then, Stanislavski is working in an era, I mean, it's becoming more of a thing, but like in the 19th century, you still don't necessarily have long run productions. That by itself reduces what a theater is able to put out. And in the 20th century, the long run just sort of basically becomes the thing in the English speaking theater.
Right. And now in the 21st century, it's going away.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting too. I mean,
we're not getting our repertory companies back. We're not getting back a company that's going to do maybe 3 different plays in the same week.
No,
and then,
we're just getting
continue to add to it over time.
4 Hollywood actors doing a play for 14 weeks. And I don't have a problem with that per se. It's just when that's the only thing that's available anymore, it's very difficult to do challenging art.
How can you take a risk?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you get... And if you get an artist, if you get actors particularly who are really dedicated to what they do and are very interested in pushing boundaries and are willing to take a flyer on, an emerging playwright, you might end up getting a production like that. But it'll still be harder to capitalize it because people aren't going to be willing to take the risk. And again, just thinking about a play like, I mean, just the description that you had of Arcadia, right? Like what's going on there. That is so cool and so hard to describe and such a not slam dunk premise for an investor.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're a new playwright and you're writing something like Arcadia, they're gonna ask for you to make it like 70 to 90 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, you can't have an intermission anymore.
What's your merch going to be though? So
what's going to go on the t-shirt?
When I talk to American theater producers, and I like this approach, they've always got like part of their pitch is like, and here's our merch strategy. Whereas I talk to British producers and they're like, that's obscene. Why would we ever do that? And I'm like, no, you have to do this. The Americans have got the right idea. Like you want to have an interval because that's when you fucking sell the merch and the themed drinks.
Exactly.
Yes, that's when you sell the beer.
Yeah.
You need the drinks, you need the snacks, you need the pies.
I need a hat. I need like an enamel pin, right? Come on.
A magnet.
So many of the people who go to see this are fucking gay. They love enamel pins.
Come on. I get magnets for my fridge.
Yeah, store.worst possible world. Whatever. Store.worstpossible.world.
Yes.
Buy our merch. We have a magnet that says Goku inflation now more than ever in the style of a Richard Nixon campaign sticker.
Rich magnet genius. Writing that one down.
A fun fact about Puffs, which is a play I did a very long time ago now. 10 years we did our first production yesterday. Oh boy.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Wait, that wasn't 10 years ago.
2016.
No, it wasn't.
It sure was.
Back when J.K. Rowling was still a beloved liberal figure.
That's how long ago that was.
Hey,
Mamma
good news.
mia.
If you license Puffs, she doesn't get
any money.
Hey, let's go.
Matt Cox, still cool.
Yeah, that's still a good guy.
That's right.
But when they took it to Australia, they did a sit-down production in Melbourne, which is the now second longest running play in Melbourne. It ran for, I think, 50 performances. So they actually were like, because it's a one act. We do it in in 90-ish minutes, which is an hour 50. Which is, I guess, technically 90-ish.
Yeah, because there is a one ad-libbed scene that always goes very, very long.
Yes, but they made him
bursting with piss by the end.
It's true. By the end, they're like, talk faster. I'm like, I cannot speak any faster. They made him add an interval because that's just something that in Australian theater you need because people have to go to the bathroom.
They call them intervals in Australia too?
Yeah. So now there's a 1-act version and there's a 2-act version of Puffs that you can license.
Okay.
I've always liked that in hockey, they call their pauses between periods intermissions. I think that's fun.
Yeah, it's good to see the other people like theater. Theater people.
I have a question for you, Abby, because talking a little bit about your experience doing Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, I'm curious what about doing those plays sort of stands out in your memory, or what it felt like for you.
Well, the first time I did it, as I say, I was about 13 or 14, and I think I associate it in my head with the teacher who was directing the play, who really encouraged me to like take theatre seriously. It wasn't just to kind of like stand on stage and like pretend and do a funny voice, but as a really like think about what this person wants, think about this character, think about what they're trying to do. And I'm not saying like 13-year-old performance is any good. It wasn't. Sure. but like it was the first time I'd really be encouraged, like, acting can be a serious thing. It's not just like a jape and a laugh. And like the player is a character who is like a bit of a laugh. and like I had permission to kind of like mug it a little bit. But yeah, it was the first time I'd kind of really thought about taking it seriously. That meant a lot to me, and like it was the first play I'd really encountered that had like an intellectual bent, that had like wordplay, that had like you need to understand this. I mean, I'll never forget like one of the reviews of the play that we did in the school paper absolutely panned us because they didn't get it. They didn't understand it.
Hold on.
I'm imagining this like
you're 13
jaded,
and you're getting
this jaded
reviewed?
like 13-year-old smoking a cigarette. Like they're not getting this past me with a visor.
Our school took theatre quite seriously, but this we got panned in the school paper because
God.
they said Rosencrantz and Guildenstern takes place as it were in the wings of Hamlet, and I'll never forget this. They then said, "As if what? Well, what?" And I was just like, "Oh man, savage! We got cut down. We got absolutely destroyed.
Wrecked."
we were completely wrecked by that. Because like, but yeah, I was curious. I didn't understand fully what the play was about, and then getting to go back to it as an adult in university, and getting to play Hamlet in that was really fun. And fun. I grew. Listeners, if you weren't already aware, I'm trans. I grew an atrocious beard to play Hamlet. Like really, just like not even a goatee, but just like you know the V for Vendetta beard, like the strip and then the mustache. That's what I had, and I was just fucking
not the Guy Fawkes beard.
Yeah. I was fucking cutting about St. Andrews with that. I ate pussy with that facial hair arrangement. And like it was, and also
Abby, did it help or hinder?
Kind of a neutral thing, but I also this was when they were having open auditions for Star Wars Episode 7, and that I went along to those and I auditioned for
With that fucking beard.
with that fucking arrangement, and had to tell the casting people like, yeah, I'm playing Hamlet at the moment in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, which is why I have this, and they were just like, okay, yeah, whatever. Which is why I had to audition for Star Wars twice in order to get in it.
For the second time, did you burst through the door and go, "Hey boys, remember me"?
I'm back. No, but I gave them my headshot at the first audition and I never got it back. And so part of me wants to go and find J.J. Abrams and be like, give me my fucking headshot back.
Yes, it's
I did
framed.
this out in the days when you had this. But no, so Rosencrantz and Guildenstern just keeps coming up in periods of my life that are like very, very significant. Maybe I'll get to do it again at some stage. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, maybe would we want to talk about the play itself a little bit? Because I feel like this is the one that we all have the most common frame of reference for, and there might be some cool stuff in there that's worth talking about.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
We just covered Waiting for Godot pretty recently, and on it we said that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern takes a lot from Godot, and that is incredibly true, because the first scene is just Didi and Gogo sitting around waiting, but it's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and they're flipping a coin. They're flipping a coin over and over again. And what's weird is that the coin has been coming up heads. It's been coming up heads for like 67 times, I think, at that point. And it just always comes up heads. And they're just like, something is wrong with the universe. This world we're inhabiting, something is rotten in the state of Denmark, but it's not just rotten in the sense that like the line of succession is awry, but like in Hamlet itself, like the physical world is cracking and the rules of physics no longer apply, or the laws of probability no longer apply.
We're in some kind of zone.
Yes. We're in the zone.
And we get them the right way around. Guildenstern is the kind of rational Vladimir one. I'm like trying to Professor X remember this through like 15 years back. Okay, when I was 13 years old 8 years ago. And so it's Guildenstern who's like, what the fuck is going on? And Rosencrantz is just like, whatever. Guildenstern has this bit about like, what is reality? Like 5 people says like something about seeing a unicorn and then look, it's a horse with an arrow in its head, and that's reality, is like consensus. But yeah,
and so then they start building the world.
Yeah.
Then they, like through that consensus, the two of them were like, well, we can, if that's true, if that's what reality is, then we can make reality what we want. And so they like concentrate really hard, and then they summon the cast of Hamlet to like just appear.
This is really smart because, of course, this just comes from the text of Hamlet. He says, I could be bounded in a nutshell and count myself a king of infinite space, were it not that I have bad dreams. Right. So they are themselves bounded in a nutshell. And creating a kingdom of infinite space that kills them.
Yeah. Suddenly the fucking cast of Hamlet all come on and they find themselves in Elsinore, the castle. And then it's like the opening of... It's not even the opening of Hamlet, is it? It's a little bit later on.
It's when they arrive, I think, to the castle. Because they have a whole scene with the player king first, I think.
Because they arrive in Act 2 of Hamlet. Act 2 has 2 scenes. And so they kind of briefly come on in Act 2, Scene 1, and then leave. Act 2, Scene 2 of Hamlet is when they come on, meet with Hamlet, talk about, buttons on caps and things like that. And he does the sterile promontory. Mm-hmm. And then Polonius shows back up and he's like, hey, there's players out here. So in the actual run of the play, it would make sense that like when they're on their way to the castle, they're going to run into the theatrical players before they actually get there.
Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah. That was my first entrance.
I was Polonius, so I've internalized all of Act 2, Scene 2.
Yes, that's right. They run into these actors on their way to the castle, and they are specialists in performing death in particular.
Yeah.
And I remember at some point, I think it's later on, this incenses Guildenstern, who objects and says you can't perform death because it's an absence.
Yeah.
Which is like such a beautiful... It's an absence slowly gathering weight as it goes on, is I think.
Abby, would it help or hurt to tell you that he wrote this when he was 29 years old?
Really? Wow. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
That is infuriating to me.
Does that hurt you, AJ?
It hurts me. I wrote some stuff. I was writing my stuff in my 20s. Nothing like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. I'll tell you what. It's very. I think there's something about Stoppard, like throughout his career, that he always sort of identified himself with the outsider, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that came from the fact that he was a refugee to England, and that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, when you read the play, are the outsiders to the whole plot of Hamlet, right? Mm-hmm. They're friends brought in specifically to like make sure that Hamlet's doing okay. They're being used by the king and queen against their friend ostensibly, and they get totally fucked over because then Hamlet tricks them to going on a pirate ship to be hung in England, which is what happens in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
I think there are worse things than being hung in England.
I get that. Okay,
brother. No, come on.
Thank you, Abby. At least someone is able to pick up the torch here.
You teed me up for that one. And just
throw the ball back, Estragon.
But like death hangs over the whole play. It's in the title, isn't it? Because I think the player on the way in is constantly like waggling his eyebrows and being like, you guys are gonna fucking die, because it's kind of implied that the player knows that they're inside a play and knows how it's gonna end. And so they are sort of constantly moving towards their own death, and they bat the topic of death back and forth a bit. I remember there's one moment where Rosencrantz talks about like, there must have been a moment where one became aware of death. Surely it would be traumatic to be told as a child that you're going to die, and but no one ever remembers it. And I was like very vividly reminded of that by my baby niece a few years ago, who picked up a sea urchin, or like a dead sea urchin shell in my room and said, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, there used to be a sea creature in it." And she said, "Where is it?" And I was like,
"Oh no!
Oh my God! I'm going to have to explain death to my niece, and like she's going to be Rosencrantz, being like, oh, there must be a moment, but this is the moment. Now I have to do this." And in the end, she kind of saved me because she just said, "Is it finished?" And I said, "Yes, it's finished."
Oh, finished! Oh my God!
Yeah. I mean, so I was
that's
like,
beautiful.
"Oh, wow. It was, yeah, from the mouths of babes."
Just straight up.
I think that's sort of an instance of like, in America, like not wanting to give the sex talk, you give your kid a book and it's just like, here, read all about it. You're just like, here's a copy of the play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Go read this. You're going to learn all about death.
This is you. Yeah, this is you.
But yeah, and then in the final act of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, this is the thing that always struck me, is that we go onto the pirate ship, which we do not see in Hamlet. This all happens off stage.
The pirate ship is, much like death itself, quite an absence from Hamlet. It becomes this major part of the action, but it is entirely off stage.
Also leads to one of the best gags where they're not sure if they're dead yet, and Rosencrantz says, "Do you think death could be a boat?" And Guildenstern is like, death isn't. Death is not. death is not being. You can't not be on a boat. And Rosencrantz says, I've frequently not been on boats. I fucking laugh. I still remember that gag years later.
It's a good line.
Yeah, so good.
And it wasn't even your lines, Abby. You were standing off stage for that.
Yeah, I was in a barrel. I was hiding in a barrel because
That's right, 'cause you
the
emerged as
players
the
turn
pet.
out to be on the boat as well. And so I just kind of popped out of this barrel, and so did all my other players with my ridiculous rabbit fur cloak and cane and tights that I chose for myself for reasons that now make a lot of sense.
It's interesting, though, too, because there is something about its relationship with Hamlet and how it's filling in those things that you have wondered so much about. Because obviously in Hamlet, the only thing you get about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern's fate, you just hear it said that they are going to get sent to die in England. And then the last line even referencing them is, so Rosencrantz and Guildenstern go to it. And that's it.
Well, and then the player at the very end, we cut this line when we did it in college, but Anne delivered it, your spouse, Josh.
Right.
And then we realized it was just better to end with Hamlet dying and then just cut the lights.
Yeah,
and
the ambassador from England comes on, doesn't he?
This ambassador comes on.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Of course, you also have Fortinbras and everything.
Yep.
So you have to like dot all the T's and cross the lowercase J's, and you have to like make sure, okay, we have some succession here. We have Fortinbras, he's come back. Okay, this is like now under Norwegian control. This ambassador shows up to a room full of completely dead people and is like, okay, well,
I'm the king now.
Looks like I'm in charge now.
I just wanted to let everyone know Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, but obviously there are more important things going on.
I'll check back in later.
Circle
So
back on
it's
that.
so unceremonious and so unkind to those characters. It's like now people do tend to stage it this way, but it's like the fool in King Lear. The way that it's written, all you have is Lear at the end when Cordelia has died. He says, and my fool hanged. And so now people will kind of like hang the fool right at the end of his last scene or something, but otherwise it's just an offstage action. It was certainly written that way.
You know, or double cast Cordelia as the fool is also fairly common. But yeah, no, the way that they do eventually die in the play is they do a magic trick. They just disappear into the air. You know, Abby, as you were saying, like this whole idea of death as absence, right? It's just they simply just stop, and he says, next time I think we'll get it right, right? Because they are trapped in this endless loop of this play because they only exist inside of this play and inside of Hamlet. And yeah, I mean, this Rosencrantz and Guildenstern like rockets Stoppard pretty quickly up to like the upper echelons of like the playwriting world. They're like, who is this Wunderkind? Like, what the fuck is he going to do next? And
is he going to do a Macbeth riff next?
It still gets performed. I mean, didn't Dan Radcliffe do it at the Old Vic a few years back?
I mean, probably.
I think he did.
Yeah,
Wow.
The thing about Daniel Radcliffe is that he loves being in ensembles of things. He doesn't really like to be too showy necessarily. I think he did the first thing he did that I saw was Equus here on Broadway.
With Kate Mulgrew and
and even that is a much more ensemble piece than I think people give it credit for. Right, it was Richard Griffiths was also in that production.
That's right.
Very near the end of his life, and he was great. Like the whole ensemble was really really lovely. But every time he was interviewed for it, he's like, I don't want to be the center of this. Like it's about these other people. And now that they're doing the Merrily We Roll Along movie, like he's doing the same thing in all the press stuff. He's like, talk to Jonathan Groff, talk to Lindsay Memphis.
But yeah,
talk to me.
like Stoppard's facility with language is always just so incredible to me. Like the way it's really such an art to fucking writing a line, really knowing how to write a line. And one of the best examples of this is one of his lesser known plays, something called On the Razzle. On the Razzle is one of the only Johann Nestroy plays that has been done in English. Nestroy is a very popular 19th century Viennese playwright.
Okay.
And he wrote the way that people talk about Nestroy is that they say he's untranslatable even into German. Because he writes in a very specific Viennese dialect, and he also has characters who are just constantly, almost in a Joycean fashion, like puns are everywhere and mispronunciations and everything. And so you have like the further standardization of German through the 19th century, and then just the troubles of translating that in the first place. that make it really, really difficult. So some of his plays have been translated into English in an academic sense, but Einen Jux will sich machen, Nestroy's one of his farces. They're all comedies. They're all musicals. They're wonderful little plays, the ones that I've managed to kind of read. But on Einen Jux was first done by Thornton Wilder as the matchmaker, where he adds the character of Dolly Levi Gallagher, who then becomes Hello Dolly. Right, one of the enduring classics of American theater. Oh, wow. And then on the British side, what Stoppard does is he takes that same play, doesn't add Dolly Levi Gallagher, right, and he adapts it as On the Razzle, which is about as true a translation of the phrase Einen Jux will sich machen as you can get into British English. And what he does is he tries to apply Nestroy's crazy plastic freedom of language to English, while also going really crazy with research and explaining a Vienna at this particular point in time. He has a lot of fun in On the Razzle with the way that like the Viennese are obsessed with Scottish things. As a trend, people are wearing tartan and playing bagpipes because that was a real thing that was happening in Vienna at that point.
So I haven't read this one. I'm assuming you have read it, Brian?
Yes. Yeah.
How is it?
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you really
On the Razzle is
if you've ever wondered about how you could possibly translate Johann Nestroy, and I know that this has been a burning question for all three of you because you've definitely heard of Nestroy before this moment.
No. I'm asking
if
this
you
every
really
day.
want to get a sense.
The first thing I thought this morning.
I'm looking in the mirror, I'm yelling at myself. How do you do this?
If you want to get a sense of Nestrovian dialogue in the English language, Tom Stoppard writes basically in a dialect that has never been attempted before or since. Cool. And it's just marvelous. It's so much fun. I highly recommend it. It's a very, very easy read too.
Yeah. And I think for like more of like a mainstream recommendation, particularly for everybody here, if you like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead, you're going to probably really like travesties.
I actually hate travesties.
So the intro monologue is really hard and not very fun and not very good. But once we actually get to Zurich, I think the play really kicks off. Basically, Stoppard was like, hey, it's kind of wild that James Joyce, Lennon, and this Dadaist poet Tristan Tzara were all in Zurich at the same time.
Yeah.
And that there was this guy named Henry Carr who got into like beef with James Joyce because he was doing a production of The Importance of Being Earnest. And he claims that James Joyce stole his pants and that he needs to get them back.
James Joyce
you
just
don't
took
want your
them.
pants back after James Joyce.
No, we've read the letter.
You
So
don't.
many fucking fucks in those pants. Just let him keep him. Ask him to buy you new pants.
Yeah. So, actually,
Free pants, please.
Really, speaking of guys who had that mustache and thing, that was a Joyce look too. He also had the mustache and
the little soul patch.
Viva Vendetta, yeah.
So
Soul Runway? I don't know.
I hate that.
I would love to take a second to talk about travesties, though, because
yeah, please.
As
you find it to be a travesty.
I don't find it to be a travesty. I find it to be a very well-constructed, intelligent play that is full of shit that I find deeply fucking annoying. That's the best way that I can describe it. Because
which things do you find deeply annoying? Which specific things? I don't know this play.
So basically, the gist of it, like AJ said, is it centers around this guy, Henry Carr, who in the production that I saw was played by the fantastic Tom Hollander. On
He's the
West
guy
End.
who lost his pants?
He was, he's the guy who got his pants.
Carr, yes, not Hollander.
Right.
Unless.
James Joyce, where are my pants?
Also, I mean, you probably might be familiar with Tom Hollander from his work. He was the
Spider-Man.
No. Yes. he was the guy in The Loop. He was the inept diplomat in The Loop. And of course, also on the season of White Lotus, he is one of the gays who is trying to kill Jennifer Coolidge.
Yes.
Is he Cutler Beckett from Pirates of the Caribbean?
I don't know. I haven't seen Pirates. It's been a long time since I've seen Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes,
that's Tom Holland.
Look, they keep making sequels to these Pirates movies. No one's watching them, but yeah, they put Spider-Man in.
Yes, it is.
Wow,
He was the East India Company guy from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Very adept comedic actor who basically the gist of the play is that he is telling you about his interactions with all of these different people, and he's bullshitting, right? Like most of what he's saying is half remembered bullshit.
Yes. Where to the point that at the end of the play, it just becomes the importance of being earnest.
Right.
They just start doing that play.
And I think that for me, what I found was that it was like, oh, I get intellectually why this is clever. And so I found it clever, but not funny.
You found it. Did you find it self-satisfied?
Yes. Okay. And I get really irritated with plays when they are so literary and so dense in a way that wants to show you how smart the playwright is. And I think for me, when I run up against Tom Stoppard, it's because of stuff like that, where I'm like, yeah, man, you sure are smart.
Here are all the things that you know. Yes.
You're like that 13-year-old reviewer who was like, as if what? Well, what? I've never seen Hamlet. I don't give a shit. That's you. But you're right, too. Like,
I looked it up. That reviewer writing for The Guardian now? It's pretty.
The flip side of it, though, I think, is that when you think about how he was an immigrant and a refugee and was constantly needing to prove himself as a man of letters to the British cultural establishment. The thing about the entire British mode of communication when you want to show that you know things is that you get really obnoxious about literary references and cultural references. You do it in America too, but you really do it in the UK.
And
I'm sure this is something.
PhilosophyTube is the way that it is, and also why my first play, The Prince, is the way that it is. Like,
and I was hoping you could talk a little bit more about that, Abby, because I know that this is a world that you have a lot of experience with at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so like you're saying this and I'm hearing it for the first time, but you've got Britain's fucking number here, like our cultural institute. Yeah. So my first play, The Prince, like obviously references a lot of Shakespeare, not just the two that it interacts with, because it goes in and out, it also goes in and out of Hamlet. And like gave me the opportunity to do To Be or Not to Be again, but differently this time. And also like references Stoppard a fair bit, which like some of the reviewers picked up on as well. I tried in early drafts to like work Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in so that we'd also be crossing over with that. Just too weird.
You're creating the Wire verse, but for theater, where it's just like every play will be one play.
Everybody's in the snow globe. Yeah.
But you're absolutely right that like. Yeah, it's all about, because it's all a proxy for like what school did you go to, which is still so much a part of this country. I don't know much about Tom Stoppard's, like what life was like for him when he arrived in the UK.
I suppose I can find out. That's what Wikipedia is for.
He feels like an Oxbridge guy, but I don't want to like...
His work has an Oxbridge vibe to it, for sure.
Absolutely.
So it looks like they moved to Nottingham in 1945.
Went to a private school, a private prep school called Pocklington School, which is in Yorkshire.
It's got a blue link, so
checks out.
But no, he dropped out. He left school at 17 and started working, and he never went to uni.
Wow, what a beast! There you go.
Yeah, so he's the ultimate, in a way, kind of a scammer, right? Like someone who's just like, I'm going to fucking prove myself on my own terms and put myself on the inside here.
Oh, and apparently he was friends with the guy who I believe we mentioned last week on the main show, John Boorman.
John Boorman, yeah, your uncle.
Different spelling, Boor.
Yes.
But yes,
Director of Hell in the Pacific.
Well, I mean, Stoppard had friendships with so many of the British playwrights at the time, like he and Harold Pinter. We're pretty close. There's that infamous letter where Stoppard has asked Pinter to go to like a fundraising party, and Pinter responds, "I would rather die."
Yeah.
And there was like, it's funny because Stoppard is like one of the last of that generation of playwrights, right? The only one still living that I can think of is Michael Frayn. I had no idea Michael Frayn was. He's 92 years old, but Michael Frayn is alive and well and living in England.
All right.
And
he's like a conspiracy. Like, I believe he's alive and living.
No, listen, I have charts, Abby.
Yeah.
You just wanted to do a Jacques Brel reference, AJ.
Well,
I see you.
Who doesn't want to do a Jacques Brel reference? I mean, he's Jackie. Come on.
He's Jackie? I'm sorry. I misheard you. Sorry. Continue.
Jackie. It's the song. Anyway, whatever. Nope, I'm not going to go there. So I could go on my little riff, but I think it's also worth noting, like, maybe something that people have a little bit more experience with are the movies that Tom Stoppard worked on.
Because he not only Star Wars Episode 3.
Yes. He not only befriended other playwrights, but he also befriended Terry Gilliam and worked on the movie Brazil back in the 80s. And then, of course, in the 90s, did Shakespeare in Love.
Won him an Oscar.
Won a lot of people an Oscar.
I've never actually seen Shakespeare in Love. That's one that I feel like I should see.
It's really good. I like that movie.
I think there was kind of a wave of backlash against it because that's the movie that kind of changed the way that the Oscars work, where Harvey Weinstein proved that you could just sort of buy them.
Right. That was a Weinstein production, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's also a genuinely fantastic movie, especially if you like Shakespeare as a topic. If you watched Hamnet and would like to see more.
Would like to see Hamnet, but not horribly
sad.
Depressing.
Yeah, God, that movie was dark.
He also wrote Joe Wright's Anna Karenina in 2012. And I don't know if any of you have seen that movie.
I've been dying to.
Was that the Keira Knightley one?
It is. It is so fucking fantastic. I adore that movie.
Love for that movie. I've never met anyone else who likes it. But
well,
I
welcome,
just like
Abby. I've never been secret about this. I've always been an out and proud lover of the Joe Wright Anna Karenina.
I just like Anna Karenina as a story. Just because I love the idea of just like a messy bitch who destroys her own life by being too horny. I just love it. Like girls same. Like we've all been there. Like that scene where she's like, I mean, I know Keira Knightley now cancelled, but also like does a good job in it, where she's just fucking him, just been like, I hate you so much, you've ruined my life. And hell yeah.
Abby, it sounds like you should adapt Anna Karenina. I'm just throwing that to the air.
Damn, okay, hell yeah. Trana Karenina? All right.
Ooh. Hey, okay.
Hey.
But well, and you can see how much, again, how Stoppard is so good at getting details into his work without getting totally bogged down in them, because Anna Karenina has that great scene with the condom. The reusable condom that her husband has, and you can kind of hear it kind of like crinkling as he pulls it out of the little jewel box that he keeps it in. And it's just a little tiny like 1 minute scene that says so much about the era and what sex is to these people and how it works. And it's great movie. I highly recommend it.
I didn't know he was involved with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the main writer on it, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
And also, listeners, if you haven't seen that movie, it's worth checking out because the whole film is visually made to look like a play, with the set is like being changed in front of your eyes by stagehands, like, but it's on a screen. It's really
they film
really
it
fun.
in a theater in every part of the theater. So some scenes are like in the dressing room, some scenes are up in the rafters, some scenes are on the stage, some are in the house. They do a horse race on stage, which was a real thing that people used to do.
Oh yeah.
And then when you have people going out into the countryside, that's the real world. They open up the back bay of the theater, and then you just see the big bales of hay and everything else. It's such a gorgeously shot movie.
Yeah, it's very
so I have a sort of a thought for something that we've been sort of talking around, but that I think is worth sort of a conversation of its own, which is so much of Stoppard's work was about adaptation. Yeah. Whether it was taking actual plays like Hamlet, for instance, and expanding it, taking actual historical events and writing something in that world, like in Rock and Roll, mashing up stuff with other stuff like in travesties, right? And I know that everybody here has a passion for doing adaptations. And so I guess my question is, what can we take away from Stoppard and his legacy in terms of what it means to make effective and even great adaptations?
Step one, make sure it's something you've either got the rights to or it's no longer copyright.
Right.
Yep. That's
not so much a lesson from Stoppard, but just a good lesson in general.
Thing to know.
Yeah. Don't write all the adaptation and do all the work and then find out you're not allowed to have the rights, because that is fucking heartbreaking, let me tell you.
Sounds like this is personal experience speaking here.
You might have to bleep the name of it, but I wrote a pilot episode and a pitch deck for an adaptation of and I actually took it to a producer who said, if you can get the rights to this, you can do whatever you want. We'll give you like infinite money because it's rules. So I then went to the person who holds the rights to that, which is the writer's former agent, who just like absolutely categorically refused to even meet me. It was like, no, get out, no way. So I am now waiting for that guy to die.
Yeah.
So that
How far away is that? How far away is
it's
this?
like it's any minute. Like he's an old man.
So it's Michael Frayn levels at this point.
Yeah. And I'm just like, come
It is Michael
man.
Frayn, actually.
No, it's not too late
Michael!
for me to play the title character. Like I'm not too old yet, but I'm like, come on, you gotta die, man, so that I can ask the person who comes after. Like,
And go.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I think it's just like adapt the things that you respond to strongly. I mean, Stoppard did a Seagull adaptation, right? Like he took something at like the importance of being earnest in one. And I will say this: the only Stoppard production I've actually ever seen was Indian Ink. And it was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life, because he basically made the argument, what if the Raj was good, actually? And I was like, no, Tom, it wasn't. And I could say that because I was sitting right behind him for the entirety of the show.
Wow.
The man looks like if a scarecrow made a wish. And
Probably even more so now.
yeah, well, that's true. Not like
now he looks like if a
wicked
scarecrow made a
to be
wish,
clear.
but the wish got rejected.
Yeah, he made the wish on a monkey's
Sorry,
paw.
that's good.
But genuinely, I think it's just like if you respond to something, I think you owe it to yourself to give it the old college try, to give it a swing.
when was that you sat behind him?
It was pre-pandemic. I wish it was like
Okay.
somewhere between the like 2016 to 2019.
wasn't that at the Roundabout?
Range. It was at Roundabout.
Okay,
yeah, it
that's
was in
what I
that basement
thought.
there. Yeah,
You were
it
just
was-
seeing like press triangle appear in front of your eyes and just like, I could maybe prevent some plays from being written. Like, just like a random weird entry into the history books for no reason.
I just didn't
the
hold
intrusive
down
thoughts win.
triangle enough.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
kept like falling back. Unfortunately, I live in a quantic dream world.
Yeah, that would be like the Wikipedia page would say he died being strangled in a theater by A.J. Diddy. You'd have the blue link, and then you'd click on it, and it would say A.J. Diddy is the guy who strangled Tom Stoppard.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know?
that,
Other
that,
citation.
at that point, and also in puffs. Please license puffs.
But Tom Stoppard just had like a really big health bar, and actually it wasn't triangle to assassinate.
Well, yes.
You were just getting like critical strike, and you're like, oh no, I don't want to engage a melee with Tom Stoppard in the theater.
No,
It's
here's the
gonna
problem,
change
Abby. He
form.
had a
Yeah.
second phase.
Pulls out the Moonlight Greatsword.
I think that's true though, right? Like that when you want to adapt something, it does need to be something that you have a passion for or an interest in, because I have seen too many adaptations that are just very clearly an attempt to like cash in.
Yeah, or it's
be
like a commission.
Exactly, where it's like, oh yeah, everybody knows
Pride and Prejudice.
The Great Gatsby, to
Yeah,
use an
yeah,
example
yeah.
of something that's recently in the public domain. Let's do an adaptation of it. You know, it becomes very quickly deadly in the Peter Brook sense, right? Like it's fucking unwatchable.
Yeah.
Could you expand on the deadly in the Peter Brook sense, because I do really love
Yeah,
this.
that's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, just you know, like the
Big empty space.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
that
put you on
kills
the spot.
yeah, the
I
empty
just-
space. The book,
Yeah.
the book that talks about like the
Peter Brook is a legendary British director. I
Right.
think we talked about him briefly in our episode about The Visit way back when.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he co-founded a little company you might have heard of called the Royal Shakespeare Company.
yes, he's the one who did the movie version of Equus. He did the original movie version of Lord of the Flies. Really, really incredible director. But that idea of like a deadly idea.
Yes.
Could you expound on that just like a little bit?
Yeah, just
Like,
that it's deadly in the sense not of like it's the thing that kills you instantly, but that you can create a piece of work, and particularly a piece of theater that, and I would have to go back to the book to get like the exact wording because it's so sharp, but I think about it a lot, where it's something that checks all the boxes, right? And seems to be hitting all the marks for something that meets the criteria of what you would expect from a good piece of theater, but at the end of the day, nobody gets anything from it. And so you've just sat there for 2 hours, and that use of your time was just, well, it was a complete absence. You may as well have been dead for that time. That's deadly theater.
It reminds me, it's like, you know, there are things out there that are just entertaining, you know, that's
Yeah, it's like a
I think
popcorn play.
Yeah. And I think a deadly piece of art is something that is ultimately just entertaining.
Right.
But it pretends that it's not. It pretends it's something more high-minded.
Yes.
and more interesting and more edifying, but it's really just like entertainment for a certain class of people.
Right.
Yeah. I think also one of the lessons we can take from Stoppard is just to not limit yourself to one idea. If you're curious about something, chase that curiosity, because his plays are so different. He writes Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead, but he also writes The Real Thing, which is just a like very small relationship drama between, 4 or 5 characters.
Did you see that when it was the roundabout, AJ?
No, I didn't. I read it right before.
That was Ewan McGregor, I think, was in that one?
Probably. He'd be great in it. But that was just basically Stoppard being like, hey, everyone I know is sleeping with each other. Let's do a play about it.
Right.
But then also it examines it as like...
Bitch, me too. You're not special.
Come on.
Yeah, no. And I feel like there's so much in that play that is just about the making of theater too, because when you watch a scene, you're not sure if they're performing a play within the play or just like their lives. Like he keeps pulling the rug out from under you throughout the course of that play. It's like, okay, but then what is reality and how do we define it? So it is a rom-com, but it's like very sort of, it's a very high-minded one. And then, or he'll explore something like Indian Ink, which again is a huge whiff, but like that's about the Raj and that's about sort of colonialism and his thoughts on that. And he always followed his impulses, and sometimes with the movie stuff, it's very clear that he needed the paycheck. But for the most part, and that's okay too. This was a guy who followed where his mind took him. And I think that a lot of people really have this idea of like, I'm going to write the same play 5 times like Arthur Miller did. But really, you can write... The Real Inspector Hound is a farce, for God's sake. It's like
As is On the Razzle.
Like, he experimented with form, and I think he was probably one of the great experimenters of the theater. And I think it's worse off for not having him around.
Yeah, and I reflect on what you said earlier, Josh, about how it can be very literary, and I think I have seen deadly productions of Stoppard where, in particular Rosengill, where it's about like how clever we can be and not about them. You don't emotionally connect to it. But at the same time, something I like about his work is that he's not shy about being clever. This is also something that I really like about Vladimir Nabokov's writing, is that it is often very challenging. It's like tough to understand. But like I like that he's not afraid to do that. He's not a guy who like just wrote slop. Like he's aiming for something here. And I think there's it can elevate the audience if you let it,
Yeah. I feel like we're sort of nearing the end here, and I just wanted to sort of wrap up with one quote from Stoppard, if that's all right.
I was actually looking through to find a good quote from Rock and Roll, but if you got one, go for it.
So this is from Arcadia, and Abby, I'd wondered if you'd be able to help me out here.
Sure.
Reading Thomasina.
I thought you were going to give us something from Star Wars Episode 3, his master.
Oh, the Plagueis the Wise. That would have been...
Not from a Jedi.
He has 2 characters. He has Septimus and Thomasina. And Septimus is the tutor to Thomasina, but Thomasina is like this very precocious 13-year-old girl who has discovered chaos theory. Like she is like one of the pioneering breakthrough minds, but it's at this small country estate and it will never be attributed to her. And they're talking about sort of the march of history here and its effect on the future and like...
And how so much of it is like inaccessible.
Yes, because of the burning of the Library of Alexandria. And this is their exchange.
Oh, Septimus, can you bear it? All the lost plays of the Athenians, 200 at least by Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides, thousands of poems, Aristotle's own library brought to Egypt by the Noodle's ancestors. How can we sleep for grief?
By counting our stock. 7 plays from Aeschylus, 7 from Sophocles, 19 from Euripides, my lady. You should no more grieve for the rest than for a buckle lost from your first shoe, or for your lesson book, which will be lost when you are old. We shed as we pick up, like travelers who must carry everything in their arms, and what we let fall will be picked up by those behind. The procession is very long, and life is very short. We die on the march, but there is nothing outside the march, so nothing can be lost to it. I'm the worst of all possible AJs.
I'm the worst of all possible Bryans.
I'm the worst of all possible Joshes.
I'm the worst of all possible Abbeys.
Hooray!
Hooray! Stoppard's dead.
Not from a Jedi.